one of the things about the way that our minds create the world around us is that we see in the world around us reflections of ourselves. And so it's, common knowledge that when we are in relationship, one of the purposes of relationship is for us to have all of these different reflections of ourselves so that we can see different aspects of ourselves and then work on them and grow. And one of the things that happens is that when we get particularly triggered, this is a practice that I've been learning for myself as I've grown and learned to mature and heal in relationships. The things that really trigger me, the things that really get me going and grind my gears, those are actually things that I myself do, but that I have been blind to. And so oftentimes when I'm really upset about something or really triggered by somebody, I ask myself, is this something that I do? Now, I want to segue and sort of bridge this conversation to the way that we react to people in politics. But what's different about people that we are seeing in politics and in the political theater that is being shown for us, political theater that has real world effects, no doubt, is that the difference is we are not in personal experiential relationship with those personalities, and depending on which news source you listen to or which way you take in your information, the way that those personalities are presented to us are different, very different experiences, because propaganda is real. We are all being surrounded by it all of the time, and we can each think that we have the best way of seeing things, but the truth is, no matter who we are, we do all have a bias, and we all are. As I said to my husband tonight, I like to think for myself, but that doesn't mean that I'm not influenced by the people around me, whether I realize it or not. And one of the things I was thinking about last night is our own personal situation and some of the decisions that are going to be happening in our lives. And I was thinking about the economy and the housing market and being concerned about what that's going to look like over the next couple months because of the things that have been happening in the country right now. We have Doge is, slashing and burning, and Trump is, well, he's doing the thing he does, and they are moving like two businessmen through our government in at least the little areas that they can. And whether you agree or disagree with what's happening, it certainly is a time of transition, upheaval, volatility, unpredictability. We don't know, we cannot predict what things are going to look like. And so I was thinking about how when things happen in my life that I feel uncertain or afraid of, the thing that I do is that I want to fill my potential future and what I see happening in my potential future with the highest vibrations of like optimism and love and light, so that I can help bring that energy into that potential future, which is very difficult to do when there is so much uncertainty and fear, particularly when, I know, like if I watch a certain news story, or if I read a certain article, or I see a video and things are presented in a certain way, I start to get like, oh my goodness. I really pride myself in taking in both sides. And so I watch media from both sides, and it's fascinating the visceral response that my body has as I'm watching different interviews, conversations. My favorite are the more sort of neutral, besides the point. The point is, when I feel that fear, when I feel that visceral response, I remind myself that the most efficient thing I can do is focus towards the outcome that I want to see accomplished for myself, my family, my community, and my country. And so, in regards to Donald Trump in particular, I've been thinking about how there are people who are really, really angry, and I get it, and I see you, and I don't disagree with you that there are things that are happening that, justify anger or, outrage or fear or frustration or betrayal or all of the things. And there are also people who are really, really happy and think what's happening is wonderful. And I see them kind of gloating, I might see one side and they're sharing, a story of somebody an immigrant who was deported, and it's a very sad story of their situation, who they were, or a person who worked for the government who lost their job and how they've been working there for, 15, 20 years, and they do good things in their role, and why is their job being cut? And then I see stories of babies, perfectly healthy babies, going in for vaccines and dying, and these are legitimate stories too, or people getting a COVID vaccine and within hours, some of them people being dead. And so on both sides there are legitimate concerns and legitimate topics that people are upset or worried about. And then what happens is the other side is very insensitive. So I see people, when people on the left are talking about, like, how can you be okay with these things happening? And the people on the right are just like, well, I just don't care. I voted for this. And it almost seems kind of like heartless or careless. But I also understand where they're coming from in a way, because I make a point to train myself to be able to see both sides of an argument, both sides of a topic, so that I can better understand the situation and how to help resolve the situation. But the problem is there are very few people that are able to do that. And so, on certain topics, one side is totally correct in seeing something that's happening that's not okay, and the other side just sort of mocks and ridicules them. And then on other topics, it's reversed, and the other side is seeing something that's totally legitimate and deserves acknowledgement and consideration, and the other side is mocking and ridiculing them. And so it's frustrating to see this, but I've been trying to think about what can I do. And so the most effective thing that I can do is put my energy towards the highest possible future outcome for ourselves and our country. And so I have this thought form that I had cultivated for myself. And I start with closing my eyes and I say, I release what no longer serves me. And that thought form really assists me because I can't always put words to what it is that no longer serves me. In this case, it may be my anger or the height of my emotion or my fear or my terror, but I'm just releasing what no longer serves me. And as I think about that, I just sort of like imagine it flowing out my toes, down my body, down my legs, out my toes, and just sort of leaving. And sometimes I see it as almost like something a little bit more dense in my body that's kind of making its way like a shadow down my legs and out my feet. I release what no longer serves me. And then as I settle into just sort of allowing myself to feel lighter, then what I do is I allow myself to open into receiving the gifts, the love that's available for me. And so, sometimes it's I'm just opening myself. So that could be the love of God, that could be the love of my family, that could be any love, past, present, or future, that's ever been sent to me, any goodwill, any kindness, and I receive it through my heart, and my heart is like a filter. So if there are any curses or any negative, things that people have wished upon me, it's not going to come in through the heart, because the heart is filtering and protecting and bringing in only the vibrations that align with the heart. And so I breathe them in, and also from my crown, and that's the energy of the divine love. This is God, this is Christ, this is all of the beings, all of the love that people connect with and receive. And energy is outside of time, and so we can always fill and receive an abundance of energy, because there is an abundance of energy that's been sent to us, past, present, and future, because we are loved and valuable and wonderful humans. And even if you think now that nobody loves you, well, if you really allow yourself to sink into that, all the love that's ever been sent to me, there is love out there for each human. And then another thought form is, may my feet walk the path of my soul's highest purpose. And so this assists me, because sometimes I'm not able to articulate what my future should look like, or what my next step should be, or what it is that I want to see happen. And the thing that helps me to feel like I can get into a space to make the next right decision, to make the next right move, or to even know what to create or want to create for myself, is to say, I want to walk the path of my soul's highest purpose. And so for me, what that means is I am willing to pay any cost in the life that I am experiencing, in order that I would walk the path of my soul's highest purpose, because it is the development of the advancement, the experiences, the growth of my soul on this path of my soul's highest purpose. That is the reason that I'm here. And so that's the decision I've made. I'm willing to pay any price. And so if I look at my life, I see the things that have happened in my life. Some of them have been very, very difficult things, but I've gotten through every single time. And these are the gems of our experience, the weight and the pressure and the tribulations and trials that press us and mold us, and take that carbon and turn it into, diamonds. And I am willing to go through that process in order to become a diamond. That's just me. That's the deal that I've made. I stand by it, and I have stood by that as I've experienced the difficulties in my life. I want to walk the path of my soul's highest purpose. That also means that I want us collectively as a human race to walk the path of our soul's collective highest purpose. And so I've been thinking, to sort of convert that thought form that has been a mantra, a prayer, a constant, a thought form of mine, that it could be collectively shifted into, may we create the country of our highest good and purpose. I'm still working out the details of that. It's a little rough draft. Should have maybe worked it out before I pressed the record button, but I just got excited and wanted to share it, and maybe it's something we can kind of work out together. Maybe I've been thinking about creating a collective thought form and a collective space. I don't have enough subscribers or followers or watch time on this platform in order to go live, but I do have a space on Facebook. I have a Tales of Awakening Facebook page, but I also have my music page, which is Wonderland's Creation, because it's my own personal wonderland, and these are the creations that are birthed out of my wonderland down my rabbit hole. And I've through the years shared, I go live on occasion when I'm doing music and things, but I'm going to, I did this past week, went live when we did some kirtan, but I'm going to start more regularly going live with the intention of just holding space for that vibration of our collective highest purpose and good. And just holding space for those moments where we can calm ourselves from the fear and from the, I'm just going to name fear. And when we can just take that time to allow that to settle and to release what no longer serves us and to replace it with love, because love is stronger than fear, and then to focus our mind like an arrow onto the highest outcome for this country. And I will say, political opinions aside, it is a true part of this spiritual life cycle that we have periods of destruction and birth and creation. This is the wheel of life. How's that for timing? My cats seem to agree. This is the wheel of life, and my spiritual practice has been learning to sing to Shiva and offer songs and offerings to Shiva. Hey, you guys. Okay, they're actually playing, if that makes anybody feel better about what the cats are doing. It's actually really such a sweet thing, because my older cat was really depressed a couple years ago, and she would just sleep and sleep and sleep after actually a crazy accident. One day I'll make a story about her situation. And I got a kitten for her, and she wasn't best pleased about it for like a year, but now they play, so that's really good. She's getting exercise. She's not depressed anymore. Soul's highest purpose, love and light. Tune in. Feel free to join on my Facebook page, Wonderland's Creation, and Tales of Awakening on Facebook. And I will let you guys know when we're going to do some more live meditations. But I think that it is the most efficient thing that we can do towards helping co-create a beautiful future, because it may seem like things are crumbling around us, and they just might be. But we have to go through periods of this. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to be as much a part of the solution in our immediate communities as we can. If a person needs my help, I'm going to reach out and help them. But at the same time, there is a certain level of acceptance for the fact that these cycles are bigger than us, and things really are going to balance themselves out. And if we want to be a part of helping that happen, if we want to do the greatest good and bring us into the greatest future, I think that focusing our thoughts towards that is the most efficient thing we can do. And what I was thinking of last night is the more I was seeing it visually, so I'm having trouble putting words to it, but I was just seeing that like all of that was that is being projected onto Donald Trump is actually coming back at the people who are feeling it. And so then, it's like the more that we perseverate on the thing that we fear and hate, the more that's all that our minds see, and then we can't help but act out what it is that our minds are constantly replaying. And so it's, I don't want to say dangerous, but it's unfruitful. It's unproductive for us to be really focusing on the hate and on the anger. And so I have made a decision that I'm going to support my country. It doesn't mean that I always approve of the things that the president does or the people in the government or volunteers that are participating in the government right now. But it does mean that I do want to see them succeed. And so I'm not here to root against Trump and to delight when he falls and fails and demise. I'm not here looking at MAGA going, oh, well, I can't wait till everything we said comes true, because then you're going to have to eat your words and regret it. I'm not going to do that, because I don't want all of those things to come true. I don't want that to happen. Honestly, if we're in the situation that we're in, I hope that people who believe in Trump are right. It's not likely in some ways based on his past, in terms of being how unpredictable and how untrustworthy in some ways, but in other ways he gets shit done. And so I can't give into this hate. Constantly, just everything he does, I hate it just because he did it. It's like, I heard was with Doge, people said, well, Elon Musk, he's doing Doge and he's corrupt and he's taking over the government and it's a hostile takeover and it's a coup and there's such a conflict of interest, and he says he's saving all of this money for the government, but there's a contract for $400 million for the US government to buy Teslas, and isn't that a conflict of interest? And see, we said that he was very self-serving. And then come to find out that contract for $400 million for the Teslas was actually created and agreed to with the Biden-Harris campaign, and actually Trump canceled that contract. And so but the thing is, what is it that you value more? Because if you value climate change more, then wouldn't it be a good thing that there was a contract for Teslas? And isn't it maybe a little bit sad that contract was canceled? Now, I understand there's other companies out there that make electric vehicles, and I'm not saying Tesla's the only avenue, but let's not kid ourselves. 2 years ago, most of us were pretty impressed by the different things that Elon Musk was creating. He is quite productive in more ways than one. Oh. And so I don't want to become a fascist. I don't want to become a dictator. I don't want to become a person that is a liar. And I also don't want to be naive. I'm not going to be naive and say, oh, well, so that means I'm just going to support him. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm hoping for the highest outcome for our country, which means that I have to hope that our president is going to succeed. Whatever succeeding means for our soul's highest outcome. And I know this seems like crazy BS, and I'm sure for those of you that don't resonate with what I'm saying, you're not still watching this video. But maybe there's 1, 2, 3 people who made it through to this point and you understand what I'm saying. That we are responsible for our energy and what we create with it. Because when we combine our thoughts and focus our thoughts with our intention towards a goal, and we energize it with our emotions, we have power. We have the ability to affect and create the life, the outcome, the reality that we want to see. There is a video that I did years and years ago when I was a single mom, talking about the things I wanted to manifest. I've gone through periods of my life where I've made that video private because it was bold of me, where I said, I want to manifest, a homestead, and I want chickens, and I want to be able to live this life, and you just wait. I'm going to manifest that property one day. And so far, I'm a renter, but situations and circumstances in my life have brought things to a point where it seems that is actually within reach, that there are things that are actually within reach for me, and it's kind of insane. It's kind of unbelievable. I knew it was true, but I also had this thing of like, yeah, well, if our thoughts create reality, and if it's true, why aren't I on my farm yet? But every year, things get better and better for me because I'm working towards what I want to create. I am working hard. It's not like I'm just sitting back all day and just thinking about what I want to see happen and just waiting for it to happen around me. I'm working really hard. I'm making smart financial decisions. I'm making investments. I'm planning in the ways that I need to plan. But it started with a thought. And I have a goal. I have a dream that I want to see, which is living a more granola crunchy life. It's what I want. I want to live more naturally. I want to be in an environment where I can grow more of my own food and not be dependent on the grocery stores and all of those things. And I have greater control over the nutritional and content and what kinds of fertilizers are used, and I don't have to worry so much about all of the things around us. And, just stay tuned, because in real time, you may be about to see that transition, that manifestation come to fruition. And I can't say more than that right now because it's still in like the birthing phases, but for years and years, I've been talking and sort of visioning and dreaming, and I haven't given up. I've come close to giving up on that dream, but I think that dream's really going to happen this year. I really do. And that is the biggest thing in my entire life that would have happened at this point. And so it becomes tangible evidence of this idea that our thoughts create reality. My marriage and the relationship I have and the work that I've done working through the relationships, my past relationships, in order to learn how to have a healthy relationship, in order to learn how to see myself and take responsibility when I'm creating drama or triggered by something, or those things brought me what is now a healing and productive and really wonderful marriage. And for one of the first times in my life, I'm truly happy, which is just crazy to say when the whole world around us is insane. But I believe that part of what I've been talking about in this video is the seed to the formula. And I want to share it because I want to help other people be happy. I'm going to go to bed now. I've got to work in the morning, but I send much love.